Right.
And we should be live. Hi, everyone. Me and David are back. We're talking missions for Sealand Open. And David reminds us, what was it the pack was again?
So you can go read it in the description. But it's
Link
an
in
escalation
description.
campaign. It's 3 lists, 2 escalations, you could say. 400 points, 1 platoon, 800 points, 2 platoons, 1250, 4 platoons. Upgrades are allowed in terms of men and equipment, not veterancy.
Yep, that's basically it. That's really it. And today we're going to discuss how we're going to go about trying to win missions, basically. Because both me and David, we're going to be there as ringers in case we need to step in and play. So we shall see. Potentially, we are playing. At least we both submitted lists. And I will share my screen so that you guys can see what we're doing. The first of the 1250 point missions is shifting priorities, straight out of our Commander's Compendium pack. And this one is yours. Go for it.
Yes, I love it. So this is a mission heavily borrowed from another game called Star Wars Legion. And the idea is it's an objective game. In this version, there's 4 objectives, and from round 2, you can score 1 point per objective captured. But and you always score objectives at the end of a round, right? So the end of round 2, you score the objectives, and then before you begin round 3, you move the objectives. So if I score an objective, you get to move it 6 inches in a direction you want, as long as it's placed then in a legal place and not inside a building, stuff like that. That would kind of fuck with the
Yeah.
objective, but in a legal movement, 6 inches anyway. That might not seem like much, but from the end of turn 2 to the end of turn 5, that's 24 inches. That objective may move if it's scored every
Yeah.
round.
Yeah.
The point, of course, being you cannot just go down as veterans in hardcover and hope, no, he's never going to be able to move me or
And
kill me.
sit on that objective.
No, you're going to have to, if you want it, you're going to have to keep going with it in whichever way it's being moved, meaning you're probably exposed without cover. And once you move with it to stay within 6 inches, you cannot go down on that same turn because you
Mm-hmm.
moved. So there's a lot of tactics about where do I move the objectives that my opponent scored, and how
Mm.
do I keep the objectives that I scored when my opponent moves them. So I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to see how people play these games.
Yeah, you can bet that with my army, because in 1250 I'm adding to my army a bunch of heavy weapons, so MMG teams and stuff. I'm going to
Ah.
sit there in ambush and just wait. Turn 1, he takes all the objectives. Turn 2, he gets the points, and I move them all into line of sight of my guns, just firing
Okay,
away. Tick, 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 tick,
that's
tick.
clever. So
Yeah,
you're willing to forgo the first 4 points
yeah,
to
I
give
can
you
live
the
with that.
opportunity to,
Yeah, I can
or
live.
at the end of turn 2, so turn 3, you now have decided exactly where those 4 objectives will be.
Yep, that was the plan.
Oh, interesting. I like it. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. What are you
My
going to
my
do?
plan is 1250. I upgraded with more men primarily.
So David, by the way, if you haven't watched our other videos, is running a Ranger Danger unit with a Lee and other armored nastiness.
Yeah. So of course I would use my rangers to quickly, at least I think I have 2 ranger squads to quickly acquire two of them, or
Yep.
and try and lock those down for the end of round 2, and then use my heavy armor to push the other ones to prevent you from taking,
Mm.
and then try and maybe control the center, right?
Yeah.
And because it's so volatile in terms of which ways things get moved, uh, long-term planning is kind of hard. Right?
Yeah. It is. It's one of those missions again where it's going to be really difficult to plan because the game changes while you're playing it.
Yes.
Um, and it becomes harder and harder because if you're winning, it just becomes harder. I don't foresee that this will mean that everyone draws. It just means that your
I don't
army is going
know.
to have to push a lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you may have to accept losses
yeah,
to either prevent or keep objectives.
yeah. So be willing to sacrifice your boys. Sorry,
Yes.
dudes. Your turn on the line. Yeah. We already played this in a practice game, and it was great fun. It was really great fun.
Absolutely.
So, and I won, so extra fun. Right, and the final mission of
That is one of
Sealand
your
Open.
brain children, right?
Yes, it is pin grid. So pin grid has 9 objectives, and so placed like this, and you score 3 points for each objective you control, after which the objective goes away. Which
So again,
means
from the end of round 2, right?
from the end of round 2, which means that you have to push up. You have to try and control that as much as possible. Because you cannot allow the enemy to take those objectives, which
No.
really encourages you to push into the center of the table. It's one of those missions that's designed for maneuver, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You need to go up there because you cannot just sit back.
No.
At the same time, you also score points for every enemy kill point. So every enemy unit you destroy. So while you are incentivized to go up, at the same time, you're if you move too quickly, if you don't think about it, you're going to lose kill dice, and
Oh
that will
yeah.
also hurt you. So you have
And
to be clever.
people units die fast in V3, right?
They do, really. Yeah. So yeah, that's the whole point here. And you can only score the objectives once, so it becomes really important who gets to the middle line first.
Yeah, see, and that's the thing about this mission, right? Well, it'll just be a battle for the middle line, right? Well,
It was.
that exactly. But if you have transports, or
Mm,
you have vehicles, so we are using V version 2 objective rules,
right.
meaning vehicles can contest. Empty transport cannot, but
Yeah.
transport with people in can contest. So if you want to prevent your opponent from having his own 3 that's on the edge of his deployment zone,
Run.
you could actually rush up and contest those,
Yeah.
and potentially contest them for 1 or 2 turns, which gives you time for the rest of your army to come and support them and maybe continue contesting, right?
And
So
by
this
the
is
way,
where having a mobile army is a clear bonus.
it is. And by the way, the deployment type is first wave. So you're moving in from your deployment zone edge, which is a huge benefit for your army, I think, because you get to do the
Absolutely.
Rangers move.
My Rangers, again, I only have 2, as I remember it, can push pretty quickly into the middle.
Yeah.
And I could, with my, maybe not with my lead, but with my half-track multi-gun carriage,
Mm.
also maybe push quickly.
Yep.
Um,
You have to
just
be
to
there
see
by
if I
turn
can use
2.
that on a flank or
Yeah.
something, right?
Yeah.
To contest. Even though it's open top, then is vulnerable to being assaulted and stuff. But it might be worth it if I can prevent one of his captured, or one of his objectives to be captured.
Yeah. Yeah. True. And for
Yeah.
me, it's going. This is going to be a difficult mission for me because I have all the fixed guns, the MMG teams, and all of that.
Yeah.
But I will try to bring in my first wave and then just run them up to my 12-inch line on the 3 objectives there, and then try and push my cab into the center to take the central objectives as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Potentially, I need to go and sacrifice something to push to the 3rd objective because I have 2 cavalry units. So
You're kind of missing the 3rd one, right? To
I
be
am a little bit.
fully covered.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah. I mean, I think if I was playing your army, I think I
yeah.
would use my cav not for the center, but for
Mm.
his backline straight away. And then I would
Right.
use your small MMG teams and mortar teams to go for the center, because he'll be busy with your cav.
So
That
sacrifice
would
the
be my
small
plan with
teams
your army, at least.
and distract him.
Yeah.
Yeah. That could also be done. Yeah.
Yeah,
True.
because you have your cannons to take your own backline, right?
Yes, I do. And I do have some transport, not for everything, but for some of them I do have some transport, so I can move them 6 inches in and then unload them onto the objectives and hope
Exactly.
that they
Yeah.
survive. Yeah.
But this is, I mean, this is also looking at a plain map of how it's set up. This
Yeah.
will change drastically the plan that we have
Oh
once
yes.
there's terrain on the table, right?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. That'll change everything. Where
Yeah,
is the line of sight blockers? What can I see? How can I
yeah,
get to all of that? Yes, definitely.
yeah,
Right. So that was us talking about the missions for Sealand Open.
yeah.
Um, Here at the
I'm
end,
kind of jealous that I'm not playing in my own tournament, and
yes, me
I'll
too.
never play as an active player. Really, I did 1 year. This is our third iteration,
Yeah,
fourth iteration.
yeah,
Um, but that was for not because specifically I wanted to win my own tournament, but I needed the, you could say, points to get on the WTC team.
you did. Yeah,
But this sounds like so much fun, which is of course why we wrote it like this.
yeah,
I know there's
yeah.
been some rumblings about escalation because people find it difficult to build
It
three
is.
lists. So
It is difficult to build three lists, but
personally, I fucking love it. But I also love building lists. I love sitting and crunching my each step and
mm,
making it cohesive in some way.
mm,
And knowing full well that it'll never be the same as just building one 1250 list or one 1100 point list. Has to be compromises, and I
yeah,
love that.
yeah.
Other people feel differently, and that's okay.
For me, I really like. I'm not a huge fan of Escalation, but I can play that. But I am a massive fan of the low point games. They are so much fun. They're so
Yeah,
fast. There's a
yeah,
lot of space on the table because you have so few units, right?
yeah, yeah.
So for me, I really like that. I didn't knew that was a thing for me, but I really started to enjoy low point games. So I'm looking forward to those.
Sounds good. And I think the another bonus is also we actually managed to get 6 games in a 2 day
Yep,
tournament instead of only
it's
five,
a
right?
huge
Um,
bonus. Yeah,
yeah, and for them, the 4 low point games are played on day one, so
yeah,
you kind of get through those pretty quickly, and it's
yeah,
a shorter time for playing each,
yeah,
and it doesn't take as much out of you every time. And then on day two, it's 2 big games, right? 3 hours each
yeah.
with all the
I'm
advantages.
also really hoping that that makes it for a nice tournament experience because you can get more games in. You can get really decent results on the Swiss draw thing,
Yeah,
and at the same time you're not as knackered as you maybe would have been if it was all 1250 games.
exactly. Yeah.
So
I mean, normally that would be 2.5, 3 hours times three.
yeah,
Now it's going to be 1.5 hours and 2 hours, I think, for 400 and 800.
yeah,
As far as I remember, we put it. Maybe we put it for 2.5. No, I think we put it for 1.5 and 2 hours.
yeah,
Meaning it's going to be manageable energy wise as well. We have good long pauses. There's suddenly
yeah,
room for having an hour for lunch instead of
yeah,
just half an hour, right?
yeah, exactly. So next time we'll talk. Then we're going to talk about lists, I think.
I'm looking forward
Ooh.
to your meta deep dive.
We will do a meta deep dive and talk about all of that stuff. But that'll be next time, and
Sounds
see
good.
you then.
See you.